As the first light of day touches the terracotta rooftops, a single window opens somewhere in a quiet alleyway. Below, the damp cobblestones reflect the soft amber glow of a street lamp that has not yet turned off. There is a patient, unhurried stillness here, a sense that the stones themselves are exhaling after a long, quiet night. For those who live here, this quietness is not a pause in life, but the very rhythm of it. It is a slow, enduring breath taken between the footsteps of history and the demands of the modern world. This is a place where the past does not feel like a museum, but like an old neighbor you meet every morning on your way to work. This is the story of Verona. To understand Verona, one must look to its geography, shaped by the steady hand of nature and the strategic eyes of ancient planners. Settled in the northern part of Italy, within the fertile Veneto region, the city lies nestled in a tight, protective curve of the Adige River. It is a natural gateway, standing patiently where the rugged, pine-covered foothills of the Lesini Mountains meet the flat expanse of the Padana plain. With a metropolitan population of over 700,000 people, Verona is much more than a quiet provincial town. It is one of the major urban hearts of northeastern Italy, a bustling center of commerce and life. Yet, when you walk its streets, the scale feels remarkably intimate, designed for the human stride rather than the speed of the automobile. For millennia, this geographic positioning made Verona a vital crossroads. Long before borders were drawn as they are today, Roman engineers recognized this land as a meeting point for major trade routes, carving paths that connected the Mediterranean to the heart of Europe. Today, that sense of connection still defines the city, rendering it a bridge between different worlds, cultures, and eras. The natural environment of Verona is a living character that deeply influences the daily lives of its residents. Just 30 kilometers to the west lies Lake Garda, the largest lake in Italy. This vast body of water acts as a natural climate regulator, sending gentle, mild breezes through the valley and softening the harsh continental climate of the northern plains. Yet nature here is not always gentle. The winters bring a deep, biting cold, characterized by a thick, heavy fog that rolls in from the lowlands at dusk and lingers until the following morning. It is a dampness that seeps into the bones and clings to the ancient stone facades, transforming the city into a quiet, introspective landscape where the horizon disappears. In contrast, the summers arrive with a heavy, humid warmth, drawing people out of their thick stone homes and into the cool shade of the hills. The seasonal rains, which peak in the spring and autumn, feed the surrounding agricultural plains, keeping the hillsides green and the river full. Life here requires accepting these shifts, learning to embrace both the bright, sun-drenched summers and the quiet, misty isolation of the winter months. As the morning progresses, the city slowly wakes to a familiar, comforting routine. The scent of fresh espresso begins to drift from small corner bars, mixing with the damp morning air. Shopkeepers sweep the entryways of storefronts that have stood for generations, their broomstrokes keeping time with the awakening city. In the historic Piazza del Erbe, vendors assemble their market stalls under the watch of ancient frescoed buildings. They unpack fresh greens, bitter radicchio, and bright citrus fruit, their voices murmuring low greetings to early buyers. There is no rush here. The morning is a time for slow conversation and quiet transition. You begin to notice that the locals do not rush through their mornings. They stand at the wooden counters of their local cafes, reading the morning paper and conversing with the barista. It is a small daily ritual, a quiet affirmation of community before the tasks of the day demand their attention. Beneath the surface of Verona's grand architecture lies a deeply knit community that values stability, family, and shared spaces. Away from the crowded tourist paths, in neighborhoods like Veronetta or San Zeno, life moves at a profoundly different pace. Here, the streets belong to the residents, and the squares serve as shared living rooms. In these quiet pockets of the city, generations of families live in the same apartment buildings, sharing courtyards filled with potted jasmine and climbing ivy. Neighbors know each other's names, their children's schools, and the small details of their daily struggles. This social fabric provides a sense of security and belonging that modern, fast-paced cities often lose. To live here is to understand the value of the passeggiata, the late afternoon stroll where people of all ages walk slowly through the streets, not to get anywhere in particular, but simply to see and be seen, to connect with neighbors, and to feel part of a collective whole. It is a practice that heals the isolation of modern life, reminding everyone that they are part of a shared human story. Verona's history is not preserved behind glass. It is stepped on, leaned against, and lived in every single day. The city's urban layout still follows the clean grid designed by Roman engineers over 2,000 years ago. The ancient arena, a massive pink marble amphitheater built in the 1st century, still stands proudly in the city center, its ancient stone seats worn smooth by millions of spectators over the millennia. The city's cultural identity is deeply tied to this physical heritage, earning it a place as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Yet this history is also shaped by the literary imagination. Though it is uncertain if William Shakespeare ever set foot in Verona, his tales of star-crossed lovers have cast a permanent, romantic shadow over the city, drawing visitors from every corner of the globe who search for the quiet corners of his tragedies. For the people of Verona, this dual identity, as both a real working city and a stage for global mythology, creates a unique cultural pride. They are the caretakers of these ancient structures, living in houses built on Roman foundations and walking under medieval arches on their way to buy groceries. The past is not a distant memory here. It is a constant, physical companion. The city is also a major industrial and logistics hub for northern Italy, utilizing its historic position as a crossroads to facilitate trade across Europe. Large-scale international trade fairs, showcasing everything from agricultural machinery to fine wines and stone craftsmanship, bring global business to the city's modern exhibition halls throughout the year. This economic diversity creates a stable community where young people can find opportunities in manufacturing, logistics, and technology, as well as hospitality. It allows Verona to remain a living, working city rather than becoming an empty postcard, preserving its authentic character against the pressures of globalization. Living in Verona, however, comes with its own set of quiet realities and economic challenges. The desirability of the historic center has driven housing prices to levels that are increasingly difficult for young locals to afford. Many are forced to look for homes in the outer suburbs or nearby towns, commuting into the center for work or study. Daily expenses, from groceries to local taxes, reflect the prosperity of northern Italy, requiring residents to manage their finances carefully. Yet most find that the quality of life, the access to safe public spaces, reliable healthcare, and a clean environment makes these challenges worth bearing. It is a compromise they willingly make to call this historic landscape home. In Verona, food is not merely sustenance. It is a form of cultural expression and a celebration of the land's bounty. The local cuisine is distinct from the southern Italian diet, relying less on tomato sauce and olive oil and more on rich butter, polenta, and locally grown rice. Traditional dishes reflect the geography, utilizing ingredients from the fertile plains and the cold mountain streams. A typical family meal often features risotto, slow-cooked to a creamy consistency with local Valpolicella wine, or hearty portions of polenta served alongside rich, slow-braised meats. These meals are prepared with patience and enjoyed slowly, usually accompanied by a glass of local red wine, such as Valpolicella or Bardolino, grown in the nearby sun-drenched valleys. While Verona preserves its ancient heart, it is also a highly connected modern city. The Porta Nuova railway station is one of the busiest transport hubs in the region, connecting residents to Milan, Venice, and Rome via high-speed trains. This accessibility allows locals to enjoy the benefits of a smaller, more livable city while remaining connected to major cultural and economic centers. Within the city, the public transportation network of buses is efficient and reliable, though many residents prefer to travel on two wheels. The flat terrain of the Padana plain makes cycling an easy and popular choice for daily commutes, with bike lanes winding along the riverbank and through the historic quarters. This balance of historic isolation and modern connectivity creates a unique lifestyle. A resident can work in a high-tech office on the outskirts of the city, commute home in under 20 minutes, and spend their evening walking down streets that have remained unchanged for 500 years. It is a blend of speed and stillness that defines modern Veronese life. As the sun begins to dip below the horizon, casting long, warm shadows across the red brick walls, the rhythm of the city shifts once more. The heavy work of the day is done, and the streets fill with a warm, ambient energy. This is the hour of the aperitivo, when friends gather at small tables outside local bars to share a glass of white wine or a bright orange spritz. The sound of laughter and conversation echoes softly off the stone buildings, mixing with the gentle clinking of glasses. In the squares, children chase soccer balls across the wide stones, while older couples sit on stone benches, watching the world go by. There is a profound sense of peace in these moments, a collective relaxation that brings the community together. Yet, like any historic city, Verona faces significant challenges that threaten its delicate balance. The sheer volume of global tourism, while economically vital, places a heavy strain on the city's fragile infrastructure and can sometimes dilute the authentic local culture in the most heavily visited areas. Environmental pressures are also rising. The Adige River, which has sustained the city for centuries, is increasingly affected by climate change, experiencing periods of extreme low water followed by sudden heavy rainfall, that poses a risk of flooding to historic low-lying areas. Preserving the ancient stone monuments against the corrosive effects of modern air pollution is another constant, expensive struggle. To live in Verona is to understand that life is not a race to be won, but a story to be lived deeply, in harmony with nature, history, and community. It is the understanding that true wealth is not found in modern speed, but in the slow, enduring rhythms of a place you are proud to call home. When the mist rolls back in over the Adige River and the city falls into its quiet nighttime sleep, the ancient stones of Verona remain, silent witnesses to the passage of time. They have seen empires rise and fall, writers dream, and countless ordinary lives unfold within their embrace. They remind us that our time here is brief, but the connections we make to a place, a culture, and each other can endure. Perhaps that is the truest lesson Verona has to offer. In our search for happiness and peace, we do not need to constantly chase the new or the fast. Sometimes, the deepest fulfillment is found in standing still, in listening to the quiet rush of a river, and in finding our own rhythm within a story that began long before us and will continue long after we are gone. If you had the opportunity to step away from a fast-paced life, could you see yourself embracing the slow, misty rhythm of a city like Verona? Which part of Verona's story, its ancient stone history, its deep family traditions, or its relationship with the river, resonated with you the most? If this journey through the quiet streets of Verona has brought you a moment of peace and a deeper connection to our shared world, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. By sharing these stories, we bring our global community a little closer together, one quiet corner at a time. Thank you for walking with us, and until our next journey, take care.